Good afternoon and welcome to the Village Board of Trustees meeting of April 26th here at Village Hall, second floor at 5 o'clock. The purpose of today's meeting is a couple of items, including the adoption of the budget and the
IMA with the town of Monroe.
IMA with the town of Monroe. Okay, if we could all first stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you and welcome for those from the public that are here. First order of business, let's take care of the IMA first, get that done. So we have an IMA with the town for grant writing services. That grant writing service contract, I believe, was 38 change. Is that right there? Okay.
Just the full amount.
What's the full amount? 38.
This is our part.
Okay, so it's 38,960 is the total contract the town had contracted out, and of that we were a 25% participant. Now we are a 50% participant. The Village of Harriman has opted out of the contract, so if we want to continue, we can do so at a cost of $19,980. I have reached out to the Millennium Group, spoke with them regarding two of the outstanding grants that we had out there, and they had not been published as of right now, but he did go on to their sheet that he has. There's a website that he has, and both of them were not granted, and those two were both the water line for Stage Road, that was a WIA project, and the DRI, Downtown Revitalization, and that also too was not awarded. So.
And we got no notification from them then?
Not yet, no.
Should we not have gotten notification that?
Well, he says one doesn't typically do so. Okay, and the other one does, but he thinks that maybe it wasn't out.
Oh, really?
Yet, because he got it off of some master list or something like that.
Oh, so we don't know if we are going to get it yet or not?
No, he told me, he just checked today and he sent me an email, we did not get it. So he says maybe the notifications lag behind the
Okay.
yeah.
This is at was it Jenkins?
Dave Jenkins, yeah. So I did ask him, and I've been looking for it, I did ask him for an email for a summary. The town gets the summary, and I don't see it here. And I was asking for something that I could share with the board with regard to what we've gotten in the past year, what we've applied for, what opportunities were out there, and I don't see that here. Secondarily, he did say that there's a new round of funding coming up, and I said, well, let's look at that as well, so we can make an informed decision. We just have to decide if we want to continue the opportunity process with him.
Well, my concern...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Also, too, no, when you had said, I think you had asked the question, could we do a month-to-month or a 6-month?
Right.
That's not an opportunity.
Right, because like I say, I know when the other gentleman, was it Khalid? Am I saying that right?
Caleb, yeah.
Caleb. He was, when I first got on the board, I felt very, very responsive.
Yeah.
The stuff that I get from the DEC and stuff that I've been sending to you and him always got responded to. And then when we're doing with Mr. Jenkins, nothing.
Right.
He wouldn't even acknowledge the emails that we sent out to him. So I don't know if we're getting our money's worth, but apparently it just seems that when the first gentleman left, I think it put a dent in her hole. You know what I mean? It does. And I've sent numerous things out and never got a response back on opportunities for different things. If we do or we don't go here, I mean, if we don't, we go it alone, or do we look for somebody else to assist us with this, or what's our game plan?
So here's my thought that I think the board maybe want to consider. In the conversation today, I was getting ready to go into a funeral, so I kind of didn't finish it off with him. But what I basically said to him was, yeah, so maybe there's some, shortcomings here that we need to, and he seems to feel he agrees. He did say, talk about the new round of funding and so forth. The problem is the contract, if I remember correctly, right, is April 30th, right? Yeah. So it's time sensitive, but if the board would like, I would like to see about an opportunity, maybe having a real good-hearted sit down and maybe suggesting, listen, we'd like to be involved, however, we'd like to, get a better response or more timely responses or more dialogue, maybe more regular meetings. They do meet. They used to meet by Zoom on a pretty regular basis. I would always ask, and to your point about Caleb would actually extend to me a private meeting because I couldn't make sometimes the 11 o'clock meeting due to work or whatever like that. So, but we did receive $1.086 million in grants through their relationship from 2019 to today. Primarily the land and then a couple others, downtown station and some other initiatives. The money that we were able to get through Senator Scoopers' office was directly through him and the sport. So, yeah. So, it sounds like it was a decent conversation today. It sounds like he wants to work with us. I think he has a sense of the situation that maybe, because I did say to him, listen, we are assessing our situation and that we get back in touch. So
That's all well and good, but here we are at the end of the contract looking to renew, and now all of a sudden he senses that there's a problem and he wants to work with us. But meanwhile, the last year or so, nothing. Knowing that we're part of a, between the village of Harriman, town of Monroe, and us, and you're not responding.
right.
It's been over a year now.
Well, yeah, but not in defense, but to the point of time, we did write the DRI this year in the fall, and we did write the Stage Road water main replacement also this year in '22. So there were a couple of things done. The federal, state, and the EFCs, those all come out in funding spurts. There's periods of times when they come out, and then there's application time, and then, you do your thing from there. So, I don't know.
Yeah, in my experience, you put a spark in somebody, maybe a vendor, auditor, bank, whatever, with my experience. Sometimes that's all it took.
Yeah.
You got the right person to listen to you, even though there would be unreturned emails and phone calls or whatever like that, but you make contact with the right person and a lot can come from it, so
Yeah.
it depends, I guess, on the feeling for you had with this guy, even though just talking about the walk year and how it coincidentally all of a sudden becomes important.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying we got $1 million since 18, did you say, or 19?
Since 19, yeah. And two of them came in 21.
Because if we move forward, the 19,980, it locks us in for a year.
Right.
Yeah.
So, are we going to get deaf ears again, and then next April we'll say yeah? I'm just a little concerned. That's all. It used to be a little easier breathing when you had the two villages and the town together, and now it's a 50-50 split where we're only paying 25% towards it.
When is this up?
The end of this month.
Yeah,
April
that's right.
30th.
Maybe we can meet with them before.
He did it today.
Oh,
Yeah, listen, I wasn't pointed.
yeah.
I was suggestive, and I did lay it out that we were discussing it tonight.
Uh-huh.
So if we want to, do that, if the board wants to get a sense of that, and then maybe I could email out.
I don't think $19,000 isn't a lot when we've gotten $1 million, but we need to make sure we get something, and in this year.
Now Harriman backed out because of the same situation that I had a little talk with
The mayor?
the mayor
Yeah.
Saturday down at the St. A's, and he just said that they really weren't happy.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe they're just taking a break. Yeah. Well, listen, I know what it is to go out and fish every day. So, you know,
That's what they're doing.
and that's what they're doing. So, you know, maybe there's a conversation, to your point, Marty.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something that could be directed directly at us.
Is there enough time? Because the end of the month is Sunday.
Yeah.
And we would have to reconvene to vote.
Town needs to know by Monday. They have their meeting on Monday. Just remember.
Elise, could we, is it possible to, what is possible to do as far as,
You can approve subject to the mayor or designated trustee having a conversation with the vendor and coming back with a recommendation to go forward or not. In other words, you would really leave it in the hands of either yourself or another trustee to say, yep, let's go forward. Otherwise, you would have to
Do you
reconvene.
want these up too, in public? Or?
yeah, that's fine, sure. Anyone?
My opinion is for 19,000, we kind of give them one shot because we have a million.
Yeah.
That's
Good
my
question.
opinion.
Do they get a percentage of a grant that comes in? How does that work?
I have not seen that. I've never seen their big on it.
So that they don't, or they usually
I think they
don't?
just take the, no, I don't know for 100% certainty, but I think that the fee that we pay as part of the contracted group, I think that's what they have, period.
I'm not aware of any
And then need
kind
that
of
page,
percentage
a
sharing.
copy of everything.
On
It's
a
not this,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
You want to take that with you?
Well,
Sometimes the grant will include,
just make sure it's the same.
you can pay engineering fees and things like that out of the grant, but I've never seen a percentage go to the grant writer.
I think that's the fee structure, I think, right? And then the second thing, I think that came up in that conversation, we talked about the follow-up. And they go out hunting for the grant. They help direct and write the grant. And then it goes out, once it's in the can and out to the group, you know, whether it's the state or federal, they post it, but they don't do the follow-up on the award or the lack of award other than noting it. Yeah.
Oh, so, like Debbie said, that $20,000, it's worth a gamble
Right.
for 1 year. And then 2 months before, 3 months before, we'll know exactly how they're doing. And if they're not doing well, just start searching early.
Now, is this included in the new budget? Or how's,
I don't believe we did. I thought we actually tentatively kept it out.
Where is it?
It's on page 6. General government support, right?
Yeah, one second.
498, and it's at 1,000.
General government, page 6.
General government support. Okay. So
that's where that would come out of?
Yep.
there's nothing there.
Contractual is 897.
No, 1918 4500.
19.
Yep, you had it right, 9713.
There's $9,713 in there
Right.
for contractual. That would be a contractual item, would it not?
Yep.
So you'd have to add $10,000 to that. And I don't know what the 97 is, so you're probably gonna, the 19,980 is gonna have to be added to that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I don't think you need to add that, like, right now. I think you can take that out of the general fund as a budget transfer at a later date.
Okay.
So I don't think you need to modify your tentative budget now. Those
Well, I
kinds
have-
of things are always handled,
Well, I have contingency, I have,
yeah.
Well, you do have contingency, and
I
we
do.
wanna go hitting that, but if we're also, something for the board to think about.
excuse me, something, I have to change of thought, one second, real quick. So, regarding the contingency, I could take it out of this year's budget and not even go into the New Year's budget, because it's April 30th, so I'm still in the fiscal year, we got 101, go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say, because we are doing water projects as well, so a percentage of that
Could come from water.
could come from water, so you could look at the water, see what's in the water fund,
There is no water.
and also see what's, the general fund, but it's something to certainly look at. I know there's no grant writing in the water fund, but it's just, it could probably come out of,
Admin contractual.
Need to be a bit careful about taking money out of the water fund for non-water.
No, it is for water. So what John's saying
for
is
grant writing for
water projects.
water projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at, so if we're using this consulting firm to write our grants, and we're looking to redo the Stage Road grant and some of the other stuff, the transmission line, that's my thoughts.
Is a general reserve in the water fund, general, it's not like capital reserve of any kind?
No,
No, it's
Okay.
it's just a line item.
Okay.
And that, again, distribution contractual is a place to look.
and to your point about, what you just said there before about grant to date, 70% of it was water. So. We're connected, yeah.
So it's gonna be good.
Well, yeah, because our fiscal year doesn't
Right.
until May 31st, so we got to look through this, get with Anthony, look through the budget, see what we need to take out of water, take out of general, cover the 19,000 if the board wants to move forward with it. There
Okay.
should be some sort of a share from the water on this.
So does the board wish me to reach out to Dave?
Sure.
I guess that's the general concession, yeah. So then they have to vote okay on this.
Yeah.
Now, the contract that the
Contingent, I'm sorry, contingent.
Yeah.
contract that the village signs, it's the same one that the town signs, but you get a copy of that contract? Does it spell in there exactly what they're contracted to do?
Right, so
And when we're to be informed, and
Yeah, so that's something I guess I could look at. I don't believe so. What I have is an IMA that I sign each year. The contract is with the town of Monroe. They're on the hook for the whole thing. They then get an IMA with us and then with Harriman, and that IMA supplied dollars toward the use of their grant writer. So, you know, Dave did say that he was gonna send out the summary. I don't typically see them unless I ask for them, and that summary will show Town of Monroe, Village of Harriman, Village of Monroe, what we've been doing. So, the police department, they've written grants and they've not been awarded. We've written grants and not been awarded, and you go into the summary, you can see those things. But it's not like, you know, I see it every month. So to your question, the IMA is really about agreeing to participate with.
With an intermunicipal, I understand that, but I really, we should get a copy of that contract so that we know exactly what we're
Right.
getting for our services.
Sure.
We should ask the town for a copy of the contract so that we have it as well.
I don't think we do.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
I looked.
We should have it.
Okay.
We're working together, we need to know what's in the contract.
All right, so contingent upon conversation tomorrow, and we would approve the expenditure of $19,860.
980.
It's $19,980.
So I need a motion to accept that.
So the motion is for is to authorize the mayor in his discretion to sign that contract. So that's actually what you're doing.
Not the contract, the IMA.
The IMA, right.
Right.
Berenger will make the motion.
Ferraro second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl,
O'Connor, aye.
All right, so carried.
now, again, so it's gonna, we're gonna take the funding out of both water and general, just so we're clear.
Right.
Okay,
And I believe we'll fund it out of this year's budget,
okay,
both sides.
all right. So
Good.
there's definitely money in the water, so, what I see.
Okay, next order of business is the budget. We had a public hearing on the tentative budget. We opened the budget, we had comments given and returned to the board for consideration, and I made one modification at the time that this tentative budget was set. We did some homework regarding the paving line. If anybody wants to
We should call asphalt.
asphalt.
Street maintenance, asphalt. A 5110-4000.
Which one was it, John?
A 5110-4000, it would be on page 10 of 22.
I just want to read for the board, give me a moment. So, what we had last year was we started out with a $400,000 allocation and an appropriation of $400,000 for the paving of last year. And with that, the year before, we had a balance of $249,344, which gave us an adjusted fund for appropriation of
$344.
$344. Of that money, currently in our current year budget, we're planning to complete 3 major projects, which is the High Street Cooper Karate project, the Still Road project, and the North Main Street Southbound Lane project, from 208 all the way down to a section of Mapes, up to Mapes, that area. After that, it was another project. So that came in at, and I apologize, but I just got the math. We did some soft math to prepare for this, but let me just try to find it. Okay, this one, let's see. Okay, so, actually with 4 projects, let me correct myself. So the first project was Village Hall. We discussed paving from the sidewalk on that ingress there, right out through our property lines, across our property lines, up to the town line, right out this driveway right here. It would be a milling and repaving of that was about 180 tons, and the cost was $27,267.50. If the town wanted to participate for their portion of the driveway to finish up the work, it was an additional cost of $9,257.50. That was Village Hall.
And that includes the milling?
Yes, sir.
It's mobilization and demobilization of equipment?
Yeah, it's mill and pave, parking lot at 2-inch depth, approximately 1,610 square yards, 180 ton of New York State DOT 12.5 millimeter for a cost of $96.50 per ton. And then the mill for 2-inch is $575 per square yard at 9257.50, and 80 gallons of tack coat. Those 3 costs equal $27,267.50.
Now, you're not going with recycled asphalt, correct?
I told him no, I don't want no recycled asphalt, and that's on the ticket when we order it, so. And then the B, as I said, was for the town, that was for a total, $8,123, not $9,000, $8,123.75, so I would push this out to the town to see if they were interested in that.
And our cost was 27?
Yes.
$27,267.50. I'll send this out to I'll send it to you, Kim,
Yeah.
and then you can go ahead and send it to the board and Anthony. Okay, and then the second project was the High Street Karate Court, Cooper Drive, Owen, and Nelson Drive. That was a 2-inch top for $153,216.45. And that included milling Owen and Nelson. The rest of it is just the top of High, Cooper, and Karate as a finish.
How much is that for, Neil? Friday?
153,216 for Cooper, Karate, and High, Nelson, and Owen. Let's see. Okay, Still Road. That is running from, let's see, selected milling and paving for a total estimated $84,014.50. And that's the mill and pave westbound lane and shoulder from TD Bank entrance to Barnett Road West at an 1.5 inch depth, and includes 4 gas crossings, approximately 5,920 square yards. 493 tons of New York State DOT 12.5 millimeter at $96.50 per ton. There's the milling cost of $34,040 and tack at $2,400 for a total of $84,014.50. That's Still Road.
That's the total?
Yeah,
Seems like, that's just one side though, right?
just on one side.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yep. And then the North Main Street, again, mill and paved inbound lane from 208 down to Mapes at a 2-inch depth, approximately 5,960 square yards, 662 tons of New York State DOT 12.5 millimeter for a cost of $96.50 per ton, with 2-inch mill cost of $34,270 and 300 gallons of tack at $2,400 for a total cost of $100,553. What you got, Marty?
About 300,000, I think.
I got about 360.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, so that's those paving jobs. So now my question is, what about all the paving, the patchwork and the stuff that we have to do? Because that comes out of that line as well, does it not?
Going forward or from this fiscal year?
No, for next year.
Yeah, so that'll come out of the new line. So if we take, I can't see, but I think that's 500, you had 649 and then you spent 117, you should have like a 521, anybody?
What are you looking at?
Yeah.
Subtract this from that?
Yes, please.
$532.
Now take that number and minus out, what we just say, 360? Call it 380, just round up numbers so that we can get somewhere. Oh, you were close. Yep. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Let's go 649, 344,
4 minus
minus 117.
078, right? Equals 532.
Okay, now let's minus out 380,000.
$152,266.
So on the current budget, without any additional work, you've got 152,266, which you can encumber onto next year's specifically for this or this or this in the amount of paving on top of 300, which I had amended from 400 because I knew we were covering our nut, so I wanted to reallocate possibly 100.
So we have over $450,000.
Well, if you 452
Yeah.
at 380, which I don't think it's 380.
Right, well, now this, so you lowered this number by 100,000, correct?
Yes. Only because,
All right, and that was on this was on my sheet that I have for 4/18,
yeah,
all right? April the 18th. And I scribbled that in, and this is before any of the calculations showed up on here, but yet the calculations are still the same. Why is that? All the numbers are the numbers are the same.
there,
If there's $100,000 less in this budget here, which I just got tonight,
yeah. What
From
line
this
is-
one.
Yeah, I don't think that, what
See
line
it?
is the paving again?
51, 10, 4,000 or 45. It was on page 10.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, because that cover sheet is after the 50,000.
right,
What's
With
that?
that cover sheet was after the change was made last fall. With that in, the tax rate would be 2.54%. With that out, it goes to 1.18.
All right, but this is what we got the night of the public hearing. And it had the 1.18, and the 400 was still in here.
I
I-
think that
I-
it was printed without the
All right, but
header
that
page.
400 was still in there. I crossed that
I
after
see-
you and I
see-
talked the
yeah,
next
yeah,
day.
Yeah,
So, I guess my question is, if that 400 was still in there and it was taken out, it should reflect on here an additional $100,000 taken out of the budget. Seems to be the same to me. The general fund 11, 850, 378. One we just got today's 11, 850, 378. So I'm not, I'm confused. This, that 100,000 should be substantial on the rate increase, or decrease.
yeah, you said prior, it was 2 point what?
2.54.
2.54,
That would be over the tax cap, correct?
no. Is it?
2.54%?
I don't think so, no,
No, to be under, we have to be under by 500,000.
right.
Well,
So we still have.
this is what we worked off for the budget hearing. This is what I had for the budget hearing.
Yep.
And I think it was the next day or whatever, you said that you're gonna take another 100,000 out
It was
and
at the
drop.
public hearing that night.
Right,
Yeah.
so I scratched it off here, but it was 400 here. And let me just perfect.
Unless 100,000 from up somewhere else, add it. I mean, what's the bottom line?
Well, no,
For
you
51
wouldn't have come up 100,000, you would have gone out 100,000.
Yeah.
You would have reduced it because to keep the 1.18.
What's the bottom line? So if you don't even look at the cover page, if you look at the April 18th one versus this one. 1576.
The bottom line, right down here,
Yeah.
1219337. And this one is actually higher by 123702949. So how's that?
Are you looking at actual or the requested stage for
Stand
2024?
by, my apologies, hold on a second, hold on one second.
You're looking
Yeah,
at this.
no, here it is, all right, the 100,000 is out
Yeah.
here. It's 1,676,252, I
Down
apologize for
from
that.
1,576,000, yeah.
And this is 1,576, so that's
Right.
down 100,000, but
Right.
I guess I go back to this, why is,
So that's
shouldn't-
what I'm saying. the
shouldn't the rate
100,000.
increase be,
Well, here's what I'll defer to Anthony. Was this stapled in after as the singles top sheet?
Yeah, because
Okay.
they're from two different programs.
Yeah,
I take that from Excel with a bunch of formulas, and that's from KVS.
okay.
So I think when you requested for this cover sheet, that was right after the asphalt.
Okay. And I think that's why it got stapled in. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're good.
All right, so that's the reason for the 100. Now the 100, if let's just say the 100 is reducing the overall appropriated funding. So,
no, on the bottom line it's down, but on the line itself,
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay. Any other, so are we good with the 300 on that, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, plenty of reserve.
Okay. Any other modifications, any other things that we didn't address?
are we doing a, what's the status with that Pelican street sweeper?
So, I met with the gentleman, and I want to move forward with it. I'm gonna have documents prepared for, Tuesday's meeting, so the board will have it in advance. I recommend to the board that we do a lease, 60-month lease. He gave us a proposal for a 5-year, 60-month, 0 down. He gave us a 5-payment, 5-year lease, and then of course a purchase outright. Obviously in a lease you're having the benefit of the amortization. What we're doing right now, I had Andy in the meeting with me, and what we're doing now, we asked him to come back.
You sent something today.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it, okay. So I wanted him to consider doing this with like a deposit or down payment of $50,000 to lower the lease overall. And we also asked him, since it was a demo model, we'd like to know if he would consider extending the warranty, because he's out there 18 months with the machine demoing it. So Andy asked him for more consideration, because the 3-year warranty would then leave us with 18 months that we currently have right now. So,
Okay, he's waiting for Elgin to get back to him for extending the lease for 2 more years.
so I'm looking for an extension of time, because, you know, I'm buying a new machine. If I'm not buying a new machine, then you take care of it.
Yeah.
Alright, now if we're gonna do the 5 year, the 5 payments, right, over 60 months?
Yeah,
Is that reflected in here, or how's that coming, how are we doing?
I would take it out of reserve, and bring it into the line each month.
Okay.
You got the money, in fact, you got the money for 2 in a month to month.
Right.
The best bang for the buck.
That's the-
This is the new number?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the new number.
Okay, so, so a lease with a $1 buyout. The usefulness of the machine is 10 to 15 years, depending on the care it gets. And I told him that, and he actually said so. He said Stephen and Bill were just tough.
Right.
So he really expected a well-maintained machine. He said it's not like you're in a big DPW where you know, between the leadership and the mechanics, they're on their products and their equipment. So, I don't see Andy, let's see.
Well, it's not like you got 30 different guys driving it, you know,
Yeah,
it's the
no.
same, usually the same 1 or 2 guys, so.
I can print it out.
They actually increased their allowance for the discount,
Yeah,
5,000 more. And then 5 years. I don't see the 60-month. Am I crazy?
they go up.
Oh,
Well, the main thing is, as long as it's covered, we're gonna pull from the reserve in to cover
Yeah.
the line, that's all.
So just for the public to know, it's a Pelican. It's a dry sweeper, so we can use it year-round. So we're not restricted by water in the winter. You know, creating hazards and not doing as well a job with snow and slushy ice and so forth. So it's a great tool. Okay.
The easiest thing is just print it out.
Yeah, all right, so you can do that or just share it. Okay. Do you have anything else, John?
No, I'm just disappointed on the salary line again for the mayor. I see that is still up there. I stand by my statement that I said at the last village board meeting. Unfortunately, I can't support the budget.
You spoke of transparency or lack of. Is that because hit the newspaper on the one day, but quickly after the 32,000 we mentioned, we had talked about the Sunday. Is that what you meant by transparency or lack of?
No, just everything in general, you know. Look, that Sunday, when you guys told me what the salary was gonna be, that's when I first found out what the salary was gonna be.
Okay.
You kept saying, oh no, last week we talked about it. We didn't talk about anything. I got a pretty good memory.
You know what's surprising though is you remember that I stood up and was leaning on something
And you said 71, but I had no idea what that meant. You said, I think 71, is what, or 72, whatever that number was.
You didn't know that we were referring to.
No,
Oh.
we wouldn't,
Well,
no, absolutely not.
But well, I would have just said out of the blue, hey, how about 72? We were talking about his salary.
Well, if you were, I wasn't aware that you were talking about his salary.
I think my recollection, and,
Yeah.
and everybody weigh in on this, so I had to go to that graduation. I forget who else, maybe John, you had to leave, I don't remember. And Andy asked the question.
Yes, I had to leave. That's
And then,
correct.
right, and then before you left, Andy broached the subject, and you said, well, what are you talking about? What are you thinking about? And then he said that number, and then I said, stop right there. I'm gonna leave the room here, because that's not my conversation, and I left.
Right.
That's how it came out, so that was Thursday.
I never heard a number. I saw a paper that said 32, and then it came up that somebody said, Andy said, we need to talk about the mayor going full-time, and then I asked if that was, there's not really a full-time or a part-time title, so I asked if that was something that needed to be brought before the public, and I know I had to leave, but I never heard any number. And then the day that we had that meeting was when I saw the paper that said 75, that I had never.
Were
I
you
went-
there on Thursday, or were you away?
It's hard to remember one day from the next. Thursday was
I
the
know
day
we
that
did it.
We were all there,
Somebody
we were at the comp
mentioned
meeting, and then we went to a budget
the
meeting.
go into the budget, and
Yeah.
then when we were ending the meeting, that's when somebody said, well, we need to come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but like, plans were already made, you know,
Yeah.
like in life.
Yeah.
So I never heard anything, and then the day of the meeting, I came in and that's when I saw the 75, you know, which surprised me only because most people get like a 3, or I know in the budget somebody was getting 7.5 or something along those lines. So I did feel blindsided.
Okay, so if you weren't blindsided, would you agree with the logic that he puts in hours that would justify the 75,000? I mean, I do, so I'll answer my own question.
I'm looking at numbers.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not a numbers person, I'm not a math person.
Right.
I'm just, when I look over at 134, from 20 to 32 to 75, and we're supposed to be, and I don't wanna be the bad guy here, but we're supposed to be looking at the budget and increases and things, and then we're giving people 3%. I'm not arguing that it's a lot of work, I know, but I'm just saying I felt very kind of in the dark, I guess.
Okay, so you get the darkness out of there. Now you're aware of the budget and the rationale for why we're saying 75, because he puts in tons of hours and it's a tremendous credit to the village.
Why does it say 77? It doesn't say 75.
No,
It
no
says
public,
77.
no public comment right now.
Excuse me a second, what does it say?
Oh, it says 77,000, not
That's what
75.
that's what the contractual.
No, that's with the expense line.
Go to the back page, next page back, I think you'll see it's, personal
Alright, so I'm
services.
sorry, Marty,
No, now that the darkness is out of the picture, you understand where we're coming from, because I guess Andy said it quickly, I quickly supported him, came up with the number. I guess you didn't hear that, but now that we're past that, and you've had time to digest it, you don't think his value to the is
Listen, you know what, we wanna talk about value and merit, and I think that's something very hard to talk about, because I don't think that's really fair to say, because there's a lot of people that work in this village that put in the time and maybe we value or merit it, and I'm not trying to start anything, I'm just saying.
No, you're
To
answering
go
my
to
question.
134% to me just looks irresponsible on our part. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Listen, it's hard for people to
We
say,
don't like the clapping.
this is how many hours I work. Listen, I'm not gonna go with how many hours anybody works. People, do they put in more time? Yes. I'm just saying, I was surprised, and yes, did we get a trustee raise at some point? Yes, but I think it's very substantial to go from 20 to 32 to 75. That's just my opinion.
Okay, yeah, I'm just saying, I can justify it. I guess you're saying you can't. I mean, we're in the same situation with the police chief, he's looking for some numbers, and we had discussed that yesterday, we were talking, listened to his rationale.
Right, we didn't talk about numbers, but,
Yeah, last night?
yeah, but
Did you talk about numbers last night?
Yeah, he was showing us comparative, neighbors,
Right.
Woodbury, Chester,
And what kind of numbers were you talking about?
186, 206,
And the chief currently
216,
earns what this year?
146, I believe.
Well, we looked at mayor's salaries around here too, I gave you all of those too, so.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna compare, but I'm
I
ready,
didn't
I'm ready
feel
to
that we
vote.
talked a percentage, that's all I'm saying.
Well, a percentage can be backed out to the number. You can get a percentage from the number or the number from the percentage. So I'm not sure how you're looking at it, but it was substantial with some logic to what he was saying. I think we both were sitting there saying, yeah, it's logical to what you're saying. So this is the first I heard of it, but I quickly absorbed it and said, yeah, there's a lot of logic to what you're saying, and he's gonna give us some tighter bullet points tomorrow, because we were talking about a lot of stuff. I said, let's see if we can kind of bring it all together so we can present it to the board. And I feel, I even said that last night, we were elbow to elbow. There's a lot of parallel to what the chief was talking about, and the reason for a substantially large increase, and the mayor. It's almost like if you can go along with one, you gotta go along with the other. It seems like logically.
Well, yeah, you go ahead and answer that.
I don't really have anything to answer. We had one meeting about a negotiation with the chief, which really has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now.
It's a salary increase. I think that's a pretty tight parallel.
And there's salary increases there's other people that I think that work in this village that, when I question something, it was okay, 3%, they're getting 3%. So I don't wanna start doing line items of each person, we asked if we're we wanna discuss something and I'm discussing something.
Yeah, I guess you're not following my logic.
Okay, anything else?
Take it to a vote.
Okay, if no further comment,
Well, we're here to serve the public, not serve ourselves.
okay. Anything else?
Nothing.
Okay. Council, what's the next order of business? Just take a vote, motion, what?
You would need a motion to adopt the budget, a second, like any normal budget.
Okay, so I need a motion to adopt the Village of Monroe Board of Trustees, the Village of Monroe's budget of 23-24 fiscal year.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Call the question?
Berenger, nay.
Ferraro, yay?
Carl, no.
Connor, yes.
All right, Mr. Mayor,
I have to vote, right?
Conflict of interest.
no, it's not a conflict of interest, any more than any of these trustees voting for their own salaries. And it's also a business that this board has to do. So let me advise the board on what happens now in the case of a tie. In the case of a tie, under 4-400-1A, the mayor, who doesn't normally have to vote, must vote to break the tie. Let me further advise the board and the mayor that if he votes no and the budget is not adopted, then the tentative budget becomes the budget under Village Law 5-508, which I read to the board at the last meeting, if you'll recall. So if he votes no, the tentative budget becomes the budget. If he votes yes, the tentative budget becomes the budget. If he declines to vote, which of course no one can force him to vote, then the budget is not adopted, it fails, and the tentative budget becomes the budget. So
Okay,
that's the law.
That's the law, okay. So I did speak at the last meeting about this and what I think that my leadership has brought to this village. You know, I've walked the walk. I've been here since 14, and I understand the dynamics of this, and I understand the steps that go into running a business. And this is what this is. This is a business. It's a $14.5 million business. I mean, I won't lie. I'm disappointed that this board has spent a lot of time working on this budget, as they did last year, and every year that I've been mayor. And it is a disappointment. I won't say it's not. But since that seems to be the consensus, and maybe, I don't know how many lines there are, but there's at least 1,000 lines probably in this budget. By taking a no vote means that you don't support the budget. You know, and since that is the main contention of everything that everybody's saying here, it seems to be stuck on my salary. I am not going to vote. I'm going to recuse myself from a vote because I don't feel that I can vote. Never thought I would say that. Very disappointed, but tomorrow has to come. I'm not going to stop it, so I am not going to vote. I'm going to recuse myself from the vote. Now, what does that mean?
It means that the budget fails and the tentative budget becomes the budget. I just want to say the mayor's the chief financial officer. And as council, I agree with his comment that this is a massive budget. And, you know, you're adopting the whole budget, not just one line item of it. But having said that, it's the mayor's decision. If he votes, if he decides not to vote, you can't force him to vote, and therefore the budget fails.
I will say, just for the public and for the people that are here tonight, and for the folks that'll see it tonight, I also did my homework, and as Trustee Carl mentioned, with regard to similar, not similar, but other communities, the villages and so forth, we have the largest budget in Orange County, general fund. The closest budget that comes to us is just about half of what we are, and that mayor earns $60,000. Okay, and just further, just edification on this. This is a salary that is in the budget. There's no benefits. There's no health care. There's no anything in this budget. This is $75,000 line item for the mayor's salary. I want that to be known. I don't know what the mayor in Warwick gets. I know he gets $60,000 in salary. I don't know if he gets any benefits or any other side things. I don't know. I know the least expensive, not expensive, but the least paid in the county is the mayor of Walden. But he has a village manager, and that village manager essentially does what I do for this village plus. I represent the folks. He represents his board that he serves at will. So me, as the mayor, I serve this community, and I work with this board to make sure that everything that this village needs is accomplished. And I think we do a great job of it. We've had a cumulative budget of increase over the last 4 budgets of 3.52%. I don't think that's done anywhere. I mean, anybody who wants to take up the task to research it, please do. But I don't think so. The work I did in my research showed, in fact, that that's not the case, that this board has been very responsible, and that's my thoughts. So, if there's no further business for this board, I'd like to open up to the public that's here. If you'd like to say something?
Anybody else? I feel strongly that this should have been brought up to the public. That's why I'm against it. I think the public has to make a decision as to whether they want a part-time or a full-time. I was on the school board for 6 years, no salary. It's a lot of work, but it's community service, and I am not in any way saying you haven't done a good job. But I just really feel that going from $32,000, and I looked at the salary, and sometimes it's 28 and 32 and all, it's more than double. It's not even 32 to 64 or 28 and double. It's well over double, and it's a big decision as to whether to go from a part-time to a full-time mayor. And like I say, I feel strongly that it should be a referendum to the public, to the residents of the village of Monroe.
Thank you.
It's not subject to referendum.
I know it's not subject to, but that doesn't say it can't be done.
Okay.
Correct?
No, it can't be done. It's not a subject for referendum. You can only have.
Going from a part-time to a full-time job is not a subject for a referendum?
Let me just explain. Everyone on this board is elected.
Right.
It's not neither full-time nor part-time. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything. I worked for a village where I was on the board in a town for 12 years. In the last 4 years, one of the elected council persons went to Russia and never showed up at a meeting. And he still got his salary because he was an elected official, and there was no way to get him off the board. So please understand that if any of these trustees or the mayor decide just to not do anything, they're gonna get paid.
Yeah, but that's not the issue.
All right, fine.
That-
I'm
that's
just
not
telling
the
you
issue.
that
We're
it's
not
not subject
saying-
to referendum, and it's neither full-time nor part-time.
Yes, please.
So, I'm here today only because, first of all, I don't pay taxes in the village of Monroe. I want to say that right away. But I'm part of the community. So my kids go to Monroe Woodbury School. They're in Monroe Woodbury School system. All 3 of them have gone through it for years. We're part of the Monroe community. We participate in all the events in Monroe. My house happens to be one of those that sits in Chester, but I pay Monroe Woodbury taxes, but I don't pay the village taxes or the town taxes because I'm on the border over there. But this is our home. This is part of what we are part of. And I just want to say that, this issue, I came aware of this and just reading up about it, and I saw the last meeting in the comments, and I just wanted to come down and make a few comments. One is, I have no skin in the game. I didn't vote for Neil Dwyer, and, it's not a political thing to me. I just know Neil and I met about 2 years ago, and the reason we've built a relationship and I've been involved in is because of his commitment to the village, to improve events, to improve the lifestyle in the village, and for me, what was very important is to create opportunities for our young people. And I've worked with him for the last 2 years on that. I'm a volunteer, okay? I do this not because I'm getting paid, not because there's any other reason for that. The reason I do that, in part, is because of Neil Dwyer. So when you get somebody like myself, and my background is I've ran billion-dollar businesses. That's what I did for a living for 35 years, okay? I have a financial background. So when you get people like myself and Lynn Sear that comes up, and 3 months before, we haven't had a cheese festival in a number of years, and she steps in and she runs that, and Lynn has a very similar strong background. You get people like that that are value to a community and value to the village because of who's running the village. There's value in that. That's not measurable value, that's not something that shows up on your P&L, but it's value because it adds to the total village experience, because he's bringing in people with skill sets to help to expand on the village. He's done a tremendous job with that. I mean, look at, if you've been to the 9/11 events, if you've been to the memorial events, if you've seen the kids' participation in those events, with the quartets, the string quartet, with the choral groups, with the singers, and not only there, but we've added music to the farmers market. We've added concert series. It used to be every other week. Now we're doing basically every week, except for those 2 weeks where there are other events going on. So there's so many things that he's done in terms of trying the downtown dining, trying to bring opportunities for kids to do that. He's brought all of that didn't ever exist before, and I think it's a wonderful thing. And if anybody thinks it's a part-time job, being the mayor of a village or a town or anywhere else is not a part-time job. And being the executive and sitting at the top of anything is not a part-time job. You can label it whatever you want. It's not. And how do I know? Well, I don't know a lot about his daily doings, but what I do know is that when I'm at 9 o'clock on every Sunday morning during the farmers market, so that there could be music at that farmers market, I know that Neil shows up to bring the town's equipment so we can help set it up and do it. I also know on Sunday, which is not working hours, at 12 o'clock, he's coming back and picking up that equipment. I also know that at 6 o'clock, dinner time on a Saturday evening when there's a concert series and the bathrooms are locked, I have to call Neil at his dinner table to come and unlock the bathrooms. I also know that at 9 o'clock at the end of a concert series, when somebody's got to get paid, the check comes and the mayor is there. I also know that when I'm going to the school events and I'm sitting next to the mayor sitting there supporting the school. Why is he supporting the school? Because he's done a tremendous job of building a relationship and a bridge with the school system, so that the kids and the music departments and the theater departments there have opportunities. And for the first time in my history of being in this community for 20 plus years, I've seen that integration of between the school system and between the village, where opportunities are created, voices are being heard, people are talking to one another, and good things are coming out of that. And that's because he spends his time. One of those events, those are Friday, Saturday, Sunday events. I've also been on the phone with him numerous times at night, at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, Sunday, Saturday, typically not business hours. So to me, that just speaks to that. And by the way, when I've been on the phone with him, or I've been in a meeting with him, or been having a conversation with him, it's not untypical that he gets a call from somebody else because there's some other issue going on. So my only point on that is that this really never was a part-time job. This is a full-time job and requires a full-time commitment, and he spends enormous hours on it. And with regard to the salary, we live in a complicated world. One wrong contract signed, one wrong or late form submitted on a state for a state program or something, one wrong word at a board meeting can cost a village millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you don't think that's true, just ask the town of Monroe or ask the village of the town of Chester, because I think we all know of examples where that has been the case. You've got a guy here that has 35 years plus business experience that brings that to this village. And yes, it is service, but $75,000. My daughter's graduating from Fordham University this year. Fordham sent out that the 2022 median salary for a Fordham graduate, just entering the workforce for the first year, $70,000 a year. And what we're talking about here is a man with 35 years experience that's been running this village for 5 years, that's spending the kind of time and energy and doing the things that he is for the people. Many times in my life, there's opportunities to hire people that would be willing to do the same job for less. And I would have been a fool to do that, because the financial risk of doing that to my business would have been significant. And I think it's no different in the public life. And paying Mayor $75,000, in my opinion, is still not his value. I think it still represents considerable service on his part to step up and do that job, particularly without benefits. This is a man who has a resume that would, in today's marketplace, would be a guy that would garner a salary of $150,000, $200,000 in the snap of a finger. And why do I know that? Because I hired people every day. And I did it for 35 years. And I know what people are being paid for different jobs today. So I'm only here to say that, I think that there's value here. And really what I wanted to do is I want to commend the trustees that recognize that their fiduciary responsibility goes beyond just how much money we spend and don't spend. It goes with recognizing that value, recognizing the significance of that value to a village or a town, and supporting and making sure that that's rewarded properly so that the village is kept in its best posture, so that it's not put at risk, so that it doesn't have a downside from having some lesser entity in that chair and to making decisions on behalf of the village. Thank you.
Okay.
I want to back up on something he said. I was on the school board in the 90s, and we always had a good relationship with the village. To painting the village windows, this goes back 30, 35 years. I'm up here 38 years. Plus the fact that nobody is saying you're not doing a good job. I never ever said at any meeting that you were not doing a good job. And I think people are aware of it, and I think that people didn't show up at the public hearing as a result. I mean, I've spoken to people that say, well, I don't know, it should go to the public. A lot of people feel it should go to the public. There was a misprint in the newspaper when it discussed the budget in the Times-Herald Record, which always gets things wrong, and I hate the Times-Herald Record. I don't subscribe to it anymore because they get things wrong. But it shows a salary of $32,000, and yes, it was a mistake.
No.
Oh, that was projected, excuse me,
Yeah.
I learned it at the meeting, it was last meeting, that it was projected. But again, I want to say strongly that no one has said that you have not done a good job. I mean, we've had mayors, I've gone through a lot of mayors, and I think that you're a carbon copy of Bob Bunny. He was wonderful. You could meet him at the supermarket at 11 o'clock at night and have a discussion about what had to be done. It's a full-time job. I mean, when I was on the school board, I would get calls at the Department of Health about something going on with the kid. When you do community service, it's a hell of a lot more than 40 hours a week, And I'm sure that you knew that when you ran for office. Because everybody in public office, well, most people that are dedicated work probably more than 70 hours a week. And it's a big job. And like I say, no one has ever said you haven't done a good job. I think, I go to the things at Pine Tree before COVID. You were there. You met my grandchildren. You know my family. That's the advantage of living in a village, that closeness, that neighborliness, So again, I want to reiterate, and I said it when I first spoke, that you have done a good job. But that's intertwined with what I feel. I still feel that it should be a public decision.
Thank you. Okay, nothing further. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Carl will make the motion.
Second, please.
O'Connor will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Please.
I've never been able to Debbie, thank you for your John, thank you for your work. And I still think anyway, there must be some